Chapter 23, The Town Hall Meeting. We gather from Swami Vivekananda's biography that just on the eve of his departure for America to join as a delegate to the Parliament of Religions, which was held in Chicago in September 1893, he was feeling a strange stirring of power within him. This was evidenced in two of his utterances. We have already referred to what he said to Swami Abhedananda when he met him in Bombay, saying, "Kali, so much energy has accumulated in me that I am afraid I may burst." It is also on record that when, on the eve of leaving for the West, Swami Vivekananda was met near Mount Abu by Swami Turiyananda, who asked him about his spiritual realization, he replied, "Brother Hari, I do not quite understand what spirituality is." He paused for a while. His countenance expressed a deep sorrow, and then he added with assurance, "But my heart has expanded very much, and I have learned to face. Believe me, I feel intensely indeed." How this feeling and the strange stirring power within that man of genius, energy and heart and realization ultimately burst forth in a distant land across the Atlantic is well known to all the readers of Swami Vivekananda's life, and we need not repeat it. What we are concerned with is the repercussion of his success in his land of birth. The effect was tremendous. So far as the mental attitude of the notion was, it was turned overnight from one of despondence to youthful buoyance. In a word, India was awakened never to sleep again, though she had still to start on the way to a new successful career of spiritual and social regeneration. And what was the reaction in the minds of his brother monks at the Alabazar monastery as they came to know through newspaper reports of Vivekananda's unparalleled triumph? They were simply transported with joy. So for the brotherhood at Alabazar, though they could not at first recognize their Naren in Swami Vivekananda of American fame, they were naturally proud of this Hindu monk. And when a letter from him months later set all doubts at rest, their elation knew no bounds. So their beloved leader has literally fulfilled the prophecy of the Master by thus shaking the world to its foundation. But there was one among them who, though exultant inwardly, was somewhat reserved and careful not to allow this enthusiasm to spend itself in mere sentimental outbursts. He was Swami Abhedananda, who now rose to the occasion. Readers of history need not be told that in those days following the news of his signal success at Chicago, there were persistent and insistent anti-propaganda against Swami Vivekananda in some places in India. The propaganda, however, assumed an intensity in Calcutta since the return of Pratap Chandra Manjumdar, the eminent Brahmo leader of the time, who had been to Chicago as a delegate to the Parliament of Religion on behalf of the Brahmo religion. Although since the session of the Parliament news was pouring into India of his unparalleled success in America, and though the Indian journals and magazines were committed with American reports of his address at the Parliament, yet what disturbed Swami Vivekananda were the frequent reports of anti-propaganda against him, as carried by some interested persons. He then wrote letters to the Madrasi disciple Alasinga Perumal, and also to his brother monks at Alabazar. Till then, he did not know anything of the Alabazar myth or the shifting of the monastery which took place from Baranagar to Alabazar, when he was on pilgrimage, and it was at that time that he went to America without informing anyone or anything about his departure to the brother disciples. He requested them to organize meetings at Madras and Calcutta, and appreciating his activities in America, it was to Swami Ramakrishna Ananda that Vivekananda first wrote a letter requesting him to organize a meeting in Calcutta and to pass resolutions praising Dr. Barrows, who was the president of the Parliament of Religions, and whose sympathy and cordiality had made the mission of the Hindu monk in America somewhat easier. This was necessary for Swami Vivekananda, not so much for the anti-propaganda against him in the land of his birth, as it was necessary to tide over the tirade launched against him by a section of Christian missionaries in America. It was only the celebrated Professor N. Ghosh who, day in and day out, wrote article after article in his famous weekly journal, Indian Nation, in support of Swami Vivekananda. As Swami Abhedananda read these articles, he consulted Swami Ramakrishna Ananda about the future course of action regarding organizing a mass meeting in Calcutta. In this connection, it is worth recalling what Mahendranath Dutta writes in his memoirs of his brother Swami Vivekananda. At last, Swamiji wrote to Shashi Maharaj to organize a meeting in Calcutta where resolution should be adopted facilitating Dr. Barrows, Swamiji, and the American Society. This, he wrote, was essential for him in the event of vilifications of the Christian missionaries. Shashi Maharaj then took Kali Vedanti by confidence, who had by this time fully recovered from his illness, and together they began to devise ways and means to accede to the request of Swamiji. No time should be lost. What is to be done should be done immediately. This is what Abhedananda said. He then left Alabazar for Calcutta, where he put up at a residence of the late Balaram Bose. Not only he, but several other householder devotees also met him here, and after some time, Swami Sharadananda too joined him at Calcutta, and all of them now set themselves to the sacred task to use Swami Abhedananda's own words. How the Brotherhood at Alabazar first came to know about Vivekananda's presence in America has been related in the following manner, and we believe the readers will find it interesting. He wrote, "When we were passing our days quite happily at the Alabazar Muth, the brother monks as well as other householder devotees were all the more anxious as regards to the whereabouts of Naren, whom I met for the last time at Bombay. Since then, there was practically no news about him. Then one day in October of 1893, we came across in an English daily, the name of which I do not remember, an article entitled Swami Vivekananda, written by one American lady named Marwan Mary Snell. There was also a reference of Sri Ramakrishna's name, along with that of Swami Vivekananda in that article. All of us read that article, but we could not identify the person with the name Swami Vivekananda. When I had met him in Bombay, I then knew that he was roaming all over India under the name Swami Satchidananda. So as we read the activities of the person Swami Vivekananda in America, we could on the whole guess that he must be our Naren. At first, we had thought that the said person must be a Madrasi gentleman, but soon we came to recognize him as our beloved brother disciple, and none else, and we further presume that he must have gone to America with somebody's assistance, with the object of preaching Indian philosophy and religion. Then our exultation knew no bounds, and we felt proud of him. We prayed to the Master for his welfare and success. It was after a few days of this that they received a letter already referred to that cleared everything up for them. Swami Abhedananda has also mentioned in his narration about the anti-propaganda carried against him by Pratap Chandra Mumsardar, as well as the Christian missionaries in America. His success at Chicago had then crossed the shores of America and spread far and wide. Naturally, this was an occasion for the Brotherhood of Ramakrishna Order to feel elated. Now something had to be done to prove that he was really a representative of the Hindu religion, and so long this was not being done, the bickerings of the missionaries could not be silenced. So thought Swami Abhedananda as soon as the letter from Vivekananda had cleared the mist. There was no time to lose, and how he threw himself wholeheartedly in organizing a meeting in Calcutta, represented by the highest and most eminent persons of Hindu society, has been told by Mahendranath Dutta in this way. Since his arrival in Calcutta, Kali Vedanti began to work out his plan with great enthusiasm. For this purpose, he went from house to house, meeting some of the distinguished persons, and also persuading them to join him in the matter of the proposed meeting. Not only he went to the Bengalis, but he also went to see some Marwari gentlemen. One evening when Kali Vedanti, along with a Manmohan, a householder devotee of the master, and others came to the place of a well-known Marwari gentleman and explained to him that the object of his visit, and the gentleman remarked that everything seemed to him as to be derogatory. Evidently, the person who had crossed the seas and gone to the land of the English-speaking Christian people, and who took their food there, must be a fallen one, and so forth. Kali Vedanti then recognized and realized that it would be impossible to prevail on him through logic, and yet there was all the more necessary of his presence in the meeting. Manmohan Mitra, who knew very well about the ways of the Marwaris, suddenly said, "Well, your name has already been included in the committee." It worked a miracle, for to a Marwari gentleman to have his name thus included was considered as an honor and a privilege. And the moment the Marwari gentleman came to know of it, he changed his mind and extended his helping hand. The next came the task of selection of the president. Among those whose names were suggested by Manmohan Mitra were such eminent persons as Bhupendranath Bose and Charu Chandra Bose, while some went to the place of the Gurudas Banerjee to request him to preside over the proposed meeting. Gurudas Banerjee was preferred by others, particularly for his esteemed and respectable position in the Hindu society. In fact, he was then the most distinguished person in Calcutta, and his name carried weight. But Guru Das did not entertain the request, but showed his indifference to the whole affair. When Kali Vedanti entered into persistent discussion with him, Guru Das told him that he had the authority of a great Sanskrit scholar who opined that the name Swami Vivekananda had not been conferred upon him by his master, and according to Hindu scriptures, a Sudra, that is, a person who is not a Brahmin and who belongs to the lower order of Hindu society, has no right to become a sannyasin, and also it was derogatory for a sannyasin to go to the land of the Christians. Finally, Guru Das told them, "I refuse to associate myself at this old age to any controversial issue related to social or religious matters." Then a hot discussion arose between them, but to no avail. Finally, some of them went to see Raja Mohan Mukherjee at his residence and requested him to preside over the proposed meeting to congratulate Swami Vivekananda at his success in America. Evidently, he did not know much about Swamiji and his activities in America, and therefore wanted to have the details. He was then showed some cuttings from the American newspapers, and as he read those, he became interested. But as soon as he read this particular line in one of the cuttings, "After having him, we feel how foolish it is to send missionaries to this learned nation," the Raja Bahadur became much elated and enthusiastic that he gladly consented to the proposal and said to the visitor, "You need not tell me anything more. India should remain eternally grateful to him for the highest honor accorded to him in America as a representative of the Hindu religion." Swami Abhedananda was very much impressed with the words, "India should remain eternally grateful to him," as was spoken by Mukherjee. And in his later days, when in a reminiscent mood, he used to refer to these beautiful remarks made in respect of his great spiritual brother, Swami Vivekananda, when he said, "How true that Raja Sahib was when he made this remark to me as I went to his place in my 30s. And later he once said to a disciple, in this connection, it would not be out of place to remark that Guru Das Banerjee, who was a staunch Hindu, was certainly wrong in his estimation of Swami Vivekananda. It is curious to find that his conversations did not stand when he presided over the meeting which was organized to welcome the Brahmo leader, Mumsadar, who also participated in the Parliament of Religions in Chicago. The Hindu Guru Das Banerjee also considered Mumsadar's participation as an act of pilgrimage. It is therefore somewhat strange to find him showing altogether a different attitude towards the fellow delegate Mumsadar. Swami Vivekananda, whose resounding success at the World's Parliament of Religion had subsequently become an object of jealousy with the old Brahmo leader. This incident shows that time was not yet ripe in India, nor the Indians were still fit to realize fully the historical significance of Swami Vivekananda's emergence in that historic congregation of this Hindu monk of India. The people of Bengal should know all about the glorious achievements of this Hindu monk, and this sort of thinking must have stirred the mind of Swami Abhedananda, who was then very much anxious to organize a meeting worth its name to record the appreciation of his countrymen for what one of their brother disciples had done almost single-handed in America. Yes, the leader must be vindicated, and his extraordinary performance in the far-off land must be recognized and appreciated by his countrymen. It must find an expression in the public meeting, the like of which Calcutta has not expressed since the days of Keshav Chandra Sen. Indeed, the impact of Vivekananda's achievements at Chicago was so great and deep in the mind of Swami Abhedananda that he knew no rest in that hectic time till the town hall meeting was appropriately organized, in order to pay suitable honor to one who has really shaken the world. So long since the passing away of the Master, his young disciples were looked upon as mere wandering vagabonds and Gurua garb, having no fixed aim or purpose in their lives, and they became in the eyes of most of their countrymen as objects of ridicule. But then the scene was changed, and a big explosion occurred on the platform of the World's Parliament of Religions, and its vibrations crossed the waters of the Atlantic. It was time that his countrymen should fully realize the impact of this explosion. This was the motive power behind Swami Abhedananda's almost single-handed effort to organize the meeting in honor of his leader. Was not this noble gesture of his a distinct expression of the communion of apostles, which was founded at Anpur? From the contemporary records, and also from the accounts given by Swami Abhedananda and Mahendranath Dutta, we gather that the meeting, which was held on the 5th September at Calcutta Town Hall, was a very great success. By lowest estimation, no less than 4,000 people had assembled on that memorable day, and the audience consisted of all the celebrities of the city, including representatives from various religious sects. Hundreds of enlightened and liberal-minded persons were present at the meeting, and none felt so happy as the organizer, Swami Abhedananda. The Indian Nation magazine, reporting on this memorable meeting, wrote, "The city of Calcutta will remember forever the meeting which was held in the town hall on September the 5th, 1894, to thank Swami Vivekananda and the American people. The success of the meeting, which was largely attended by people of all shades of opinion, it must be admitted, was mainly due to the efforts of Swami Abhedananda, a spiritual brother of the Swami. It was presided over by Raja Mohan Mukherjee, and among those present were such distinguished persons as the Pandit Madhusudan and many others. Swami Abhedananda in his memoirs has written that later on Sir Banerjee changed his opinion and attended the meeting, and his presence was hailed as very significant.